Hello, everyone. I'm Mariam Mujica from Shopify. I'm thrilled to be here with all of you, as I think many of us have been waiting for this moment and for this particular gathering for a really long time. Personally, I have such a new appreciation of real-life moments, such as the one that we're experiencing right now at Summit of the Americas. I also wanted to thank YABT for pulling together such an incredible agenda with stellar participants that we're seeing today and throughout the three-day conference. I wanted to introduce the next panel through a personal story on the future of commerce. I grew up in Mexico City, and during spring break, we would go to Acapulco. I remember my earliest memories of the trip are usually 8 to 9 hours long from when I was 6 years old. My mom would make sandwiches for us to eat in the car, and we would stop twice to stretch our legs. The road from Mexico City started out with terrible traffic just to get out of the city. Then you would get to Cuernavaca. In Cuernavaca, there was a 2-lane highway that was in decent condition. But once you passed Cuernavaca, the road became more unpredictable and more uneven. 6 hours into the trip, when you approached Chilpancingo, the roads were frequently single-lane highways, twisting and turning to get around the mountains that you had to traverse to reach the coast. I'll never forget those twists and turns, as that's usually when I started feeling carsick. But when I was 13 years old, a new road was constructed. The new road literally blew and cut through all those mountains that we had to go round and round before. They had blown tunnels through the mountains with beautiful, smooth, 3-lane highways. The trip took almost half as long, a little over 4 hours. I remember being in awe with the new highway, as they had constructed what seemed to my 13-year-old self as not only a beautiful, wide highway, but also had a very cool and modern-looking bridges and tunnels. Although it was a faster and easier journey, you still had to commit to making the 4 to 5 hour drive. How that road evolved from one full of bumps, potholes, single-lane highways, twists and turns on big mountains, to one that seemed like an impeccably constructed 3-lane highway is how I think about entrepreneurship and Shopify. Entrepreneurship represents many things, including courage, perseverance, strength, passion, and relentlessness. It means you take an idea and turn it into your reality. As Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, the mind, once stretched by an idea, never returns to its original dimensions. Shopify, for me, represents that new road to Acapulco. We don't think entrepreneurship is easy. On the contrary, we understand that to reach your final destination, it's going to be a lot of hard work, and you will encounter many challenges that are equivalent to those potholes and twists and turns from that original road I described. But what we want to do for each entrepreneur is to provide a faster, smoother road that will cut through many of those pain points that entrepreneurs experience as they cross each bridge of their own to reach their own dreams and make those into a reality. Frida Kahlo once said, "I don't paint dreams or nightmares. I paint my own reality." Today, we wanted you to hear about the reality that Isabel, Claudia, and Nicolas each painted for themselves, and how despite the limited resources they had, they never gave up. They also harnessed the tools that they knew could cut through some of their own mountains and challenges. And although we look at the past to learn, there's nothing more exciting than to think about what possibilities lay ahead in the future. I'll now turn it to my colleague, Clark Rabier, who will talk and have a conversation with the three of them and how they got their first idea to sitting here on stage with all of us. And more importantly, what they see as the future of commerce through their own individual journeys as entrepreneurs. Over to you, Clark.
Thank you, Miriam. Oh, is this a... Thank you, Miriam. That was a wonderful introduction, and it's a great segue into one of the key themes that we'll be talking about in our discussion on the future of commerce: change. The only constant in commerce is change. Entrepreneurs and business owners have dealt with more change in the last 2 years than in the previous 2 decades. As a side effect, they've grown more resilient. And it's a good thing because there's more change ahead. Joining me today to shine a flashlight on this future are Claudia, Isabella, Nicholas, three incredibly successful entrepreneurs who've not only adapted, but thrived during this period of intense change. Claudia Magdaleno is the founder of Cherry Pink, one of the most popular fashion and casual clothing stores in Mexico, which specializes in bikinis and swimwear. Founded in 2009, Claudia's company has sold thousands of swimsuits and has millions of devoted followers across her social channels. And it's worth noting that Claudia started this when she was just 19 years old. Isabella Shadid, from my far right, is the founder of Linus, which sells 100% recyclable, waterproof, and vegan sandals. Every pair of Linus sandals are made entirely in Brazil with the most sustainable, raw products the country has to offer. Founded in 2018, Isabella's company has already achieved incredible success, as evidenced by her placement on the Forbes Under 30 list as among the most innovative young people in fashion in Brazil. And finally, Nicholas Valenzuela. Nicholas and his wife Maida launched the first design and decoration blog in Chile in 2011. This attracted thousands of daily visits. They then turned that blog into their current business, Depot 51, which is now the #1 design, decoration, homeware, and gift destination in Chile. Nico and his wife also run an agency, Lab 51, that has helped hundreds of Chilean businesses get online. Now, before we begin, I would like to just give a brief round of applause for the three on the stage with me today. And finally, the least interesting on the stage today is myself. My name is Clark Rabior, and as Mary mentioned, I'm the head of multilateral affairs at Shopify. I'm deeply honored to be sharing the stage with these brilliant entrepreneurs, and can't wait to hear the insights they'll share with you all today. And before I get into the future-looking part of the panel and what they see as the future of commerce, I want to start with what inspired them to become an entrepreneur, because I look out in the audience today and I see a lot of entrepreneurs who are either growing or managing their business. And so I want to get into the deep understanding of how and where your ideas came from. So Claudia, I'll maybe start with you. You launched your business in 2009, as I mentioned, at the age of 19, which I don't even want to know what I was doing at 19. But what inspired you to become an entrepreneur and start your business?
Well, from a very young age, I had this idea of having my own business. But to be realistic, I couldn't afford it. So I created this brand when I was 19 years old. And at the time, I only had $200 that I saved from my job as an intern. So I opened a Facebook page, bought some clothes, and prepared the first local shipments that I delivered by myself. And yes, it was 2009. There was not much information about how to sell online. And I received many questions like, are you not going to look for a real job? Or do you really make a living out of it? So after a lot of work and a lot of passion in my project, I built a community of almost 1 million followers around my brand. I was mentioned as a successful story by Facebook and Shopify, and some national and international media contact me to know more about my story. And well, that was the beginning. After that, currently I have 2 more brands. One of them is 1 Minute Pretty, of body hair removal kits, and the second one is CEO Factory, of online courses to create successful digital brands, where I teach through videos the same method that I follow and help me to create the 2 brands that now I have in the market. But, well, I don't want you to think that everything was perfect, because it wasn't. I always believe that it is necessary to normalize the failure stories behind the successful stories. And I want to share also this with you. At some point, I decided to open a boutique, believing that being a digital company was not enough, and that to make it real, I needed a physical store. So, long story short, I realized that I wasn't passionate about it. Unluckily, it was too late. I had invested all my money, and I was at my lowest point. Now I remember that I used to love sleeping because that was like a button to turn off my problems. And a good friend of mine told me, you are not a tree. If you don't like where you are, you can move. And that's what I did. I closed the store and decided to be just an e-commerce brand again. And well, after that, and in my desperation to relaunch my website and not having a website designer to do things for me as fast as I wanted, I heard about Shopify. And in a couple of weeks, I made the website by myself. I installed apps to increase conversions and focus on selling only swimwear. And I think that was when everything changed for me and my brand started to be what it is today.
That's fantastic, and it's a great reminder that entrepreneurship is really really hard. It's very difficult. It's filled with more downs than ups, but that's an incredible story, and we're so thrilled. And we did not tell her to say anything about Shopify, so I was thrilled to hear that. So thank you, Claudia. And I'll maybe go to Isabella now, and a similar question. You launched your business in 2018, which was just before this period of incredible change that we just witnessed. What inspired you to start, and has anything changed over the past few years for yourself?
Okay, first, I didn't start as an entrepreneur because, first of all, actually, my family has many entrepreneurs, but I thought I didn't want to follow this path. I wanted to follow a more stable path. And after a couple of years working at huge companies, I realized I was tremendously unhappy. Like as Claudia said, I was not in a good place and I decided I had to move on. But sustainability has always spoken to me since I was a child. When I was 4 years old, I learned at school what recycling was. And I really internalized this concept. And when I decided I wanted to open my own business, I knew it had to do with sustainability. At the same time, by the end of 2017, in the beginning of 2018, I was already working online at a company. And I'm a very casual person in the way I dress. And I spend my whole days barefoot, and I would only put some flip-flops on if I had to go out. So my feet started to ache, and I went to the doctor. By then, I knew that I had a physical condition called hyperlaxity, which means that I'm more flexible than the average person, but it's not a serious problem. It's okay. And the doctor said, okay, you should wear shoes that really gives the insole the support your feet arch needs. So I started to look around, and I couldn't find a brand with a product that had all the features that I was looking for. So now, by that time, I needed more than ever a very comfortable shoe, but I also wanted it to be sustainable. I wanted to be affordable, and with a cool design. Even though I'm casual, I still like cool designs. And a thing that was easy to use, because I don't like to put a lot of thought on what I'm wearing the day. So after doing a market research, I found out there was no brand providing a product with all these features. And I said, okay, am I the only one looking for all this stuff in one same product? And I realized that no, actually, a lot of people want to buy in a more conscious way. People are even willing to pay a little bit more for this, but they don't want to, again, put a lot of thought. I think we live in such an anxious society that is always living in the future or in the past, hardly in the present. And the purchase moment is a moment when people, it's a distress moment. People are buying to make the tension go away, and they are very often irrational. So when you offer a product that has all the features that people are usually looking for, and it's also sustainable, it's like you're saying to the person, you don't have to worry where this product is going to, where it comes from. I'm thinking about it for you. The sale happened much more easily. So that's how it started.
That's fantastic. And to your point, people are looking to buy more sustainable. And I know you wouldn't want to say it, but it's an incredible statistic that between January 2020 and January 2021, Isabella's sales increased 700%. So that is not only a testament to your ability and your ability as an entrepreneur, but that knowledge that sustainability is, something that people are looking for. And sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think sustainability is something that people are looking for, and when the pandemic started, we were already online. Again, Shopify didn't ask me to talk about Shopify, but I must mention them. I already had my online store, and when the pandemic started, a lot of business that were not online yet had to brush to go online, and we were already working smoothly on the digital market. So people wanted to buy. They were stuck at home. They realized, I hope people realize a little bit more that the impact that our routine has on the environment, because when we were stuck, the hole in the atmosphere, the ozone layer reduced a little. So being a sustainable brand, for sure it helps a lot.
Fantastic. And I'm going to get to that when we talk about what you think is the future. So stay tuned on that. And so, Nicholas, I'll come to you finally. And, your wife and yourself, took a successful idea. And actually, interesting enough, his company's called Depot 51. I think your apartment was 51. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's fantastic. So you not only founded Depot 51, which sells these fantastic products, but you also founded Lab 51, which supports other Chilean businesses to get online. So what inspired you to not only become an entrepreneur, but then help a network of entrepreneurs?
I always want to be an entrepreneur. 10 years ago, being an entrepreneur in Chile was very weird and strange. There's many, muy poco, a lot of people being entrepreneur. So I want to transform a passion to a business. I study architecture. I love design. My wife also loves design, and we got married in 2010, and we decorate our first apartment. So all our friends love our department. So we thought that it was a good idea to show decoration to many people. So in one weekend, we make an experiment, and we took photos to our apartment and published online in a blog. It was the first design blog in Chile, and it became very popular in a few weeks. We publish in many magazines, very famous in Chile, so we become to attract a lot of traffic to our website. So then we thought how to transform this passion in a business. And then we thought about selling online. And we were the first online store in Chile. So there's also, as we were first to market, we became very popular too. And then we became very popular also an e-commerce entrepreneur. So in 2017, our suppliers nos pidieron. My English is not very good, so sorry
Fantastic.
for that.
It's fantastic.
So I try to do my best. But they asked us to help to sell online. So we became with one other entrepreneur, and nowadays we have helped more than 250 entrepreneurs to sell online, for small to bigger one, in Chile and many countries of Latin America.
That's fantastic. And I think it's worth reiterating to the crowd that I think in each of your cases, your passion for your product came first. I think it came in different forms, but the passion that you had for what you were doing and what you're, leaving the world with came first and foremost. And so that's fantastic to hear. And I do know the audience here is not only entrepreneurs, but policymakers and business leaders. And I think one of the most interesting things that I've been chatting with these three over the past few days is their vision for the future, because they became an entrepreneur, during a period of transition to the digital economy, especially the last 2 years during this immense period where, as was mentioned, there was many businesses were forced online for the first time, and so we're living in a period where we're going to see more change, as I mentioned in my opening, coming for not only commerce, but entrepreneurship at large. And so I want to ask a few questions based on, because you are all very successful, I'm very interested in what you see moving forward, what is going to change for commerce, what's going to change for entrepreneurship. And so Claudia, maybe I'll start with you. It's been 13 years since you founded Cherry Pink. What have been the biggest changes first that you've seen? And what do you think probably the next, let's say 5 years, because I think there's going to be enough change in 5 years, but what do you think the next 5 years are going to look like too?
Well, I think the biggest change that I've seen is in the users and also in the tools that make it easier for anyone to sell online. In my experience, when I started to sell only on Facebook, even Facebook was not prepared for sales. And for example, I didn't have WhatsApp Business to communicate with my customers in a proper way. And talking in general, now there are more payment providers and logistics have improved. I remember that I used to fill out the shipping label by hand, package by package. And now my team just clicks on the orders to generate multiple shipping labels that are printed in a matter of seconds. And talking about the users, well, they prefer to buy in physical stores for sure. I remember questions like, how do I know that my package will arrive? How do I know that you're not going to keep my money? Or the most common one was, do you have physical stores? And that has totally changed to the point where the question is not if you have physical store. The question is, do you ship worldwide? So I think that, well, something that I have to say here is that I think that marketplaces have an important role in the e-commerce transformation by setting an example in some way to vendors of how things should be done and to users of what they should expect from a seller. And if I think in the next 5 years, I think that we will have much more demanding buyers, that the online experience will have to be more personalized, more intuitive, and I'm pretty sure that virtual reality will be an important part of the e-commerce and will make the shopping experience even more like the real world.
That's fascinating. So VR, do either of you see VR as, I'm looking, and if you don't know Luna sandals that Isabel is showing off, I highly recommend you check out her site. Is coming. Does that play a role in either your business, or do you see that? And maybe Isabel, a good question for you is not only the VR aspect, because I think that also does touch on the sustainability model, because you don't need to travel to see something, but what do you see as the future, and do you see something similar to Claudia as well?
I think that the consumer has changed over it. Also, I mean, I have Linux for 3.5 years, so I don't have this amount of experience in time, but people are asking a lot about the material. They want to get to know in depth about why it is sustainable. And during the pandemic, of course, we closed our store, and being able to send all over the country and even overseas was really helpful for us, and being able to have the local pickup that people could order online and go to our store. So this is another thing about being omni-channel. This is something that's really, it's not a future tendency, but I think it's already happening, because people want to buy online and go to the store, or maybe buy at the store and change online. you have to be your whole story integrated. And about sustainability, focus a little bit more on this. Right now, sustainability is still seen as something that differentiates your brand from the others, but it's not gonna last. I mean, it won't be something that differentiates. It will be the rule. I mean, if you're not sustainable, nobody will buy from you. So I really hope this happens because it is everyone's responsibility, in my point of view, to consume from sustainable brands. Each purchase that you make, you're making a decision. You rather buy from like a huge retailer that sometimes don't pay that much attention to the production chain, or you can buy from a local or even a bigger retailer that is concerned about the emissions and the raw materials and this kind of stuff.
I was just about to ask if you saw it as if every business of the future is going to have sustainability as their model. So I
so.
think you're spot
If we're
on.
not sustainable, we're not gonna make it. Like we won't be there. So
I 100%. I actually have here. There's a market study that we did, and 77% of buyers are now concerned about where their products are coming from. So I think let's hope that reaches 100 very soon. Nicholas, I think we've heard, the importance of multi-channel. We've heard about the importance of sustainability and the intersection of that. One thing that I think every entrepreneur has to deal with today is social media, blogs. How do we reach buyers? How do people know about our products? And your story is fascinating, where you started with a blog with your wife, turned it into a business. And so do you see the future of blogging and social media of retaining buyers continuing, or where do you see that going? What do you think is the future of how you obtain customers?
Yes, today it's easy to start selling online, and in the future will be more easy to sell online. What is not easy is to start selling online. What is not easy is to sell online and to attract traffic. So you have to create a community, because the community will you attract traffic and you can sell to all this community. You have to find a need to be an expert and to stand out to the competition, because in the future years there will be many an online store, and so you have to stand out of the competition. Also, you have to be sustainable. You have to create a brand to impact another people. We are not in the business only on selling online. We have to change the life of maybe one person, then 100 person, and then a million person. So I think also the collaboration is the future. It's not the competition. You have all the entrepreneurs has to collaborate each other to create a community to change the world, I think.
And adding to what Nico said, I think the community sense is also very important among the consumers because, as he said, paid traffic is getting more and more expensive. I mean, it's more expensive than fossil fuel, I don't know, but it's super expensive. So when you create a sense of community where people feel like they belong to the brand, I mean, people are not buying the product anymore. They're buying the brand, they're buying the lifestyle, the idea behind the brand. So the sense of community is super important to make your business bigger, and then you are able to have brand lovers, people who are really talking about the brand and defending the brand.
Yeah, and sorry, go ahead, Nick.
When we start, you don't have at this time you don't have to pay for advertisement. We only have organic traffic, and nowadays it's impossible to have organic traffic. So the only way to have organic traffic is to create a story, to create a brand with purpose, to have a story to tell, because people remember the story, not the brand.
And I think if what I'm hearing too, it's and especially from a lot of what you said, it's changing from a race to the lowest price to a race to the best experience, the product that reaches your community, that you can build that community around. Is that kind of the future that you all see? And I see it in all of your brands and what you've done. So it's fantastic. And we only have a few minutes left, but I would love to end with getting a bit of advice from yourselves who are, successful entrepreneurs in your own right, for some advice for those in the audience. And so the first one, and anyone who wants to answer these, please go ahead. What's one lesson you would share with the entrepreneurs in the room today? Just one, if you had to pick.
Okay, I will answer this. I think that you have to give yourself permission to start late, to start over, or just to be afraid, because I think that it is the same feeling for people who invest their last $200 like me, as it is for people who invest millions. It's called fear, and it's okay, and it means you're achieving things. So I think that it is important to forgive yourself for your mistakes. There is nothing wrong with you. If you fail once, twice, or even multiple times, you are learning how to do business, and nobody is born knowing that. I think that.
All the big companies start small and without enough money. So don't be afraid to start a light. The important is to have a purpose. The important is to change the life, maybe changing the life of one person, maybe the person who start working with you, then go to 100 and then go to 1,000,000. So entrepreneurship is a difficult road, but if you have a purpose, and it will help you to wake up every day and fight for your dreams.
And if you, in my opinion, if you're starting with consumer goods, if possible, start Bootstrap. If you're able not to spend your whole life saving in testing the product, it's a good idea. It's good to test the market and then grow the business naturally and sustainably. And when I mention sustainability, it's not only environmentally speaking. I mean financially too, and of course socially. You got it. So you need to pay attention to the whole product chain and the people working there too. If you're able to give opportunities to people that wouldn't have the opportunities as easily as others, I think that's something fantastic. When cool information is that at Linus, we have 20 people working with us, and there are only 4 men. So it's awesome to work with a lot of women and be able to see the impact that you're having in their lives. So Bootstrap always for me.
Bootstrap. Bootstrap. I love it. And you've all mentioned this next question often today, which is something that, at Shopify we talk about often, which is entrepreneurship is really hard. It's worth it, but it's very hard. So the next kind of rapid fire, what's been the most difficult part of owning your own business? And anyone can start if you have something.
Learning how to deal with people. It was hard at the beginning because I've never managed anyone before, and the company started to grow, and you want to be able to let all of the people around you also fulfill their life goals. So match all of this and make it work. It's hard, but it's the best thing, really. It's hard, but I've never been happier in my life, and it's really rewarding to see that you're making a difference not only in their lives, but also in the planet, and see that other companies are trying to reach you and see what you're doing so they can follow your path. This is awesome.
Either of you difficult?
Yes, entrepreneurship is difficult, but it's amazing. I think that it's a lifestyle. You have always a lot of talent. You have to learn a lot. You have to deal with many things, but also you have a great moment, for example, like that, when we can share our story to other people, we can inspire, and also we can give a part to build build a better world. We are part of the change. So I love the entrepreneurship, the adrenaline. It's like I love that.
I for a moment thought that you're going to say the most difficult part was working with your wife, which would be for myself.
This is
I'm
the
sorry,
best part.
I'm sorry to my
For
wife.
me,
but
it's the best part.
I think she might be watching, so I apologize. But Claudia, how about for you?
Well, for me, the most difficult part, I think, is that all the responsibility of things going well or going bad falls on you. So you are 24/7 thinking about how to improve your brand, and that can be overwhelming, of course.
And you don't have vacations, never again. I mean, you can go for a trip and you're still working 24/7.
And
Also, one thing, if you have a great team,
Yes.
always it's gonna be more easier because we can support them. We built a great team, and I want to thank all my team, always to be with all the great disposition and very happy, and I love them.
I will add, Nico reminded me of a good tip too, is surround yourself with excellent people, people that are much better than you. So then you can be outside doing other stuff and you know things will be going well inside.
fantastic. And the final question for our panel today, and this is one that Claudia, you're very honest about as well. But what's one big mistake that you've made in making your business? Because I think it's always worth talking as much about the failures as it is about the successes. And I think this room is always so. It could be anything from, you know, not launching orange sandals in the first wave of Linus, but interested if there's anything that, you know, if you're open to share, that you share with the crowd.
Why are you looking at me? I don't know. I need to think.
If not, we can end on a happier note and go from there.
No, I have an idea. For me, was that at some point I was like in a comfort zone and I stopped learning. And this world of digital and the e-commerce world changed very fast. So it's very easy to fall behind. And what I did is that I took a lot of online courses and I haven't stopped since then.
That's fantastic. And I will say, and one big shout out here is all the panelists today and all the Shopify crew are going to be on the second floor. We have a big display up there. So if you want to talk to Claudia, Isabel, or Nicholas, please come up to the second floor and talk with them there. We'll be there today and tomorrow. But I would just now like to take the time and please join me in thanking our brilliant entrepreneurs for sharing everything with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.